And you start by introducing yourself, please.
My name is Mitchell Szczepańczyk. I work as a software developer, and I'm involved in a lot of nonprofit community initiatives in the Chicago area.
Are you familiar with the plans to build a citywide wireless internet system?
Yes, I am.
Where do you get your news?
From an assortment of sources, mostly via the internet. So I'll read maybe over the course of a day, maybe 20 or 30 different websites that I'll rely on for news of differing perspectives and compilations of news and stories.
How would you describe the internet?
I would describe the internet as a series of tubes. No, that's someone else who describes the internet who didn't know what he was talking about, and probably still doesn't. I would describe the internet as a network for computers to talk to one another, metaphorically speaking. It's a way and was set up as a mechanism for interchange of information between and across different computers, and which has now grown to become a serious economic and political force in the United States and indeed worldwide, and whose impacts are only poised to grow. So even though I could certainly talk a lot more about the internet, I think that's one quick thumbnail way to describe it.
How is technology integrated into your daily life?
Technology is integrated into my daily life in a lot of ways, not the least of which because I work for a living in technology as a software developer, so I'm sitting in front of a computer all the time. I'm also sitting in front of a computer at home while I surf the web or while I'm working on other capabilities. It might be not my exclusive, but perhaps my dominant mechanism for communication anywhere. And even if I did not have a computer or I didn't have a job where I work on computers all day long, increasingly a lot of those realms of life which had been removed from computers or were separate from computers are increasingly becoming enmeshed with computers. So like, for example, I talked with my sister this afternoon. She called me on her cell phone, which is itself a small computer in a sense of speaking, onto my cell phone. And that may have also been, that conversation transacted through computers at the very least, in lots of different ways. So that's not something that's explicit. And so if I had never owned a computer in my life, if I even had something as simple as a telephone, computers are nonetheless playing a key serious role in the development of that. And you can probably extend that to other spheres. This is one that I happen to think of off the top of my head.
So, are there ways that you make use of the internet that you think a lot of people wouldn't be aware of, that people actually do this, or?
Oh, sure.
Please describe.
Right. If I can think of an example. Well, here's an example. I am involved right now in writing a computer program that's a variation of a version of poker, the card game that I invented. So, in working on this computer program, I'll be posting this program online. As along with the source code of this, for other people to first off find errors in the operation of the code, but also they may be able to take the code and offer suggestions to this. And this is actually like a classic example of what's been termed the open source movement, where computer programs of any kind will sometimes, depending on the terms of the license of the code, the list of instructions that basically operate the computer, it's entirely possible that those instructions may be released openly, publicly for anyone to examine and perhaps also modify, with the proviso that those modifications are also kept relatively free and open for others to follow in their footsteps. And it's proven to be a tremendous boon for a lot of applications. First off, for the development of the applications and for the refinement and gradual spread of those applications throughout. Many classic examples: the Linux operating system, the Firefox web browser, Wikipedia perhaps might also be another example of this. These are just some examples.
How would you compare your use of technology and the internet with other members of your family?
Far more extensive. like for example, I work on a computer all the time. I have a sister who lives in Michigan who works as a science teacher. But she uses the internet a lot for communications at home. She'll email me things. I'll email her things. She'll surf the web. Other ways of providing internet access. My mother and grandmother, with whom I'm also very close, don't use the internet at all, or computers at all for that matter. In fact, last year, my mother wound up going back to school. And part of her journey in going back to school was to take a rudimentary computer class. And so it was kind of peculiar that I was teaching my mother the very basics of computer knowledge, understandably so, because she didn't have it. And it's been trying. I found it to be kind of hard to try to get her to acquire a taste in using computers. By and large, she just has ignored it and perhaps has forgotten what she's learned. My grandmother has never used a computer and perhaps never will. Just not in her life. She's not interested. She gets along fine without it.
One more question. I don't have enough tape for this.
Okay.
But,
I can say it.
how could the media do a better job?
Oh boy. I think the media could do a better job if there are policies in play that would allow for a greater diversity of media, that would allow for a higher standard of quality, and thus allow much larger and more well-known media interests to try to catch up to this, higher level of taste among the audiences who would demand of media to do a better job. I suppose one way might be along these lines to make a better product for the media to have to be forced to emulate, and especially if that new product has a much wider reach and perhaps even greater popularity in some instances. That would be one way, through shame and embarrassment, through providing a quality product. And that quality product can be done via a policy decision which could foster more media outlets, the development and building and support of independent media outlets like those I'm involved in, Chicago Indie Media, Third Coast Press, radio station WHPK in the South Side, an excellent news website I read called The New Standard, online at newstandardnews.net. There are lots of resources, and I think any and all of these tactics should be approached to improve the media overall.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.